This is a beginner to author production.
My name is Nicholas Smith, and this is my formula for figuring out your book. This is for anybody struggling with figuring out the kind of book they want to write, putting chapters together, or figuring out the major aspects of their book, such as their characters, settings, and plots. This will be a short run through of everything from beginning to end, with links below to tools on my website and from Jotform to help you. So if you like this, stay to the end because I have a special surprise for all of you watching this right now. Every story starts with an idea, and since we are at the beginning, we will begin by figuring out what yours is. Start by thinking of ideas for your book and writing them down. Write down any idea you have, but once you have a good idea for a book, write down what happens at its beginning, middle, and end. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just write down whatever you have. Once you do that, we will go further into developing your book idea. Also, instead of writing your book idea on paper, you can use our tool in the link below to type your beginning, middle, and ending. Keep this open because if you click the next button at the bottom of the form, you will be taken to the rough outline for your book, but we will work on that later. For now, just stay on this form, and when you are finished, we will move on to the 7 stories. The 7 stories refer to the 7 types of stories that exist, which all stories are based on. The 7 story types are comedy, overcoming the monster, the quest, rags to riches, rebirth, tragedy, and voyage and return. Comedic stories are usually lighthearted and sometimes romantic, with funny things and misunderstandings. Overcoming the monster stories typically involve a hero facing a powerful evil threatening their life or world. With the quest story, a hero goes on a journey to achieve success or accomplish a goal with their friends. Rags to riches stories usually begin with the hero at a low point in life, but eventually achieving success. Rebirth involves a character going through a powerful transformation, while tragedy involves drama and a character's ultimate downfall. Voyage and return are similar to Quest's story type, but the difference is that the character returns home and is changed by experience. Think about which one of the stories your book falls into. You can use the link below this video for the 7 stories and choose a story type. From there, you will receive a special file about that type of story, additional examples, and a special template to help you write your book based on the story you chose. When you finish that, we will continue to find the genre or category for your book. When it comes to the categories, there are 2 things to consider. The first is whether your book is fiction or nonfiction. Fictional stories are made up from the author's thoughts and imagination, like the Harry Potter book series in 1984. Nonfiction books are based on real life and present facts, actual events, and personal stories, like Born a Crime by Trevor Noah and Atomic Habits by James Clear. Once you decide whether your book is fiction or nonfiction, you can decide on your book's category. This is where you determine the type of book that you have. For example, if your book involves soldiers traveling to another planet to overthrow a dictator and his overly powerful robotic minions who threaten the safety of Earth, you would have a science fiction story. Meanwhile, if you have a powerful personal book about overcoming racism and adversity, you would have a memoir or autobiography. Decide on the exact category, and if you need help with this, I have another tool that you can use, but we will get to that after we talk about your ideal reader. Your ideal reader is the perfect person who you know would be interested in your book, And it is important to think of this person so that you have them and their wants and needs in mind as you write your book. And so you know where and how to market to them when it is time to sell your book. Usually, for this, you would need to create a full buyer persona. But for this, I will give you everything you need to think about regarding your ideal reader. You will need to think about who they are and what is their age, gender, and lifestyle. Consider where they hang out, what interests them, and what they want to experience while reading. If you think this is too hard or time consuming to do, don't worry, because I've already done the hard work for you. You can click on the link below this video and go to BeginnerToAuthor.com. From there, you can choose your books category and download a file that will tell you more about that category, give you examples, and provide you with information on your readers who would be interested in your book. The hard work is already done for you. You just have to go there and get it. Next, we will discuss your book's 5 major aspects, starting with your characters. The next thing is your characters or the people in your story who make it come to life. They are one of the most important parts of your story, so you need to make sure you make them the best you can. You need to determine who they are and their goals and make them so realistic that readers can know and enjoy them. But this isn't a hard process because I have simplified it for you. By going below this video and to the link for the characters, you can go to a worksheet and make your characters with a 20-question worksheet. After that, you can download it when you are done, and you will have your character for your story. You can also use the worksheet as many times as you like to create all the characters in your book. So take some time and get the characters done, and then we will continue to the next major aspect of your book, which is the setting of your story. Your setting is where your story takes place, and depending on the story, it can be as big as an entire universe or as small as the deliberation room of a courthouse. Regardless of the size and place, it plays a major role in your story and could be as powerful as the characters you create. So you need to make sure the setting is as tangible as possible. But just like with the characters, I have simplified the process to nail down your setting. You can go to the link below this video for the setting and create it with the 15-question worksheet. Then, afterwards, just like with the character worksheet, you can download it and use it more than once if you have multiple settings for your book. Once again, take some time to get the setting done, and then we will continue with the plot of your book. For the plot of your book, we need to outline the plot, and to do that, I use a 9-part rough outline. So, at your book's beginning, middle, and end, each has 3 major parts that make up the entire story. These parts are the beginning, inciting incident, the first and second rise in action, the midpoint, the third rise in action, the climax, the falling action, and the ending. They all go in the order they are in to tell a story. So, remember that first worksheet for the book idea that I told you to keep open? We are going to go back to it right now. So, if you are finished with the book idea, click next at the bottom of the worksheet and you will be at the rough outline for your book. And it is here that we will create all 9 parts of your book. What you are going to do is describe what happens during a specific part of your book. You don't have to do too much. You can write one sentence for what happens in a particular part, or you can do more if you want. For example, Recently, I wrote a story in which the beginning is when two kids, Jackson and Isabella, are tired of getting bullied at school. The inciting incident happens when Jackson sees that one of the bullies has a rare trading card, and he steals it and escapes the school. The first major rise in action comes directly after the inciting incident when Jackson is being chased by a couple of school officers throughout his town, but manages to escape them. The second rise in action comes when Jackson goes to the mall and finds out that the card is fake, so he records a video on his phone exposing the bully, which consequently sends the vice principal, the bully's father, into a rage. The midpoint happens when Isabella is trying to encourage Jackson, but is caught by the vice principal and is taken to the office to be punished. Jackson vows to save her but is chased again by the officers, so he goes home to get his motorbike to evade them and go to the school. The third rise in action comes when Jackson gets to the school. He manages to get Isabella away from her parents, who are taking her home, as the vice principal has suspended her for not giving up where Jackson is. She gets on Jackson's bike and they head to a news station where Isabella's cousin, Victoria, is a news anchor, and they plan to get her help exposing corruption in their school. The story's climax comes as the officers chase Isabella and Jackson to the news station. They manage to get inside and get Victoria to expose what was happening in their school. The falling action occurs when real officers arrest the school officers, and the vice principal is fired and arrested as well. The ending comes when the bully tries to hit Jackson, but is protected by other students that the vice principal had mistreated, and Jackson and Isabella enjoy a normal day at school. It is your turn now. Think about your book and write down what happens for each part of your story. But again, keep this open because there is one last part to this that we will get to later. But once you are finished, we will move on to the main conflict and theme of your book. The main conflict of your book is the driving force of it. It is a fight between the protagonist, who is typically good, against the antagonist, who is typically bad, at least from the reader's perspective. Those two characters and their fight against each other are a major aspect and can make the difference between a good story and a bad story. The conflict needs to be both strong and understandable to the reader. For example, in my story from when we talked about the plot, the main conflict ends up being Jackson and Isabella against the school's vice principal. They want to expose the corruption that the vice principal has been doing and get him fired, while the vice principal is doing everything he can to prevent that from happening. The antagonist does not necessarily need to be a person, but they could be something else, like a force of nature or something inside a character. But that is for you to decide with your own story. To help you with this, you can develop the conflict in the 5 questions in the worksheet below about the conflict and theme. You can answer these questions and set the stage for your book's biggest fight. But there is one last thing that we need to discuss regarding the 5 aspects, and that is your book's theme. The theme of your story is the message that you, as the author, tell the readers and the world through your characters' actions. You need to think about what your big message is. What are you trying to say to the world through your book? For example, I had multiple ways of thinking about my message and my story. One message can be that sometimes, if you want to change things, not only do you need to do it yourself, but sometimes you also need to do bad things to make it happen. Another message for later in the story is how two small people can make a giant difference and how the truth will always find a way to come out if you are doing the wrong thing. A book can have multiple messages, but so you don't overcomplicate things, think of just one right now. And to help you, you can answer the last questions on the worksheet and develop that theme that readers can gravitate to and understand as they read your book. Once you answer the questions about your conflict and theme, you can download the worksheet and you will have it. With all of the aspects done, we can do the final outline for your book. We are down to the last two major things. And then once those are over, I have a surprise for you at the very end. So, right now, we will take everything you've done and begin the final outline of your book. So, go back to the book idea and outline worksheets from earlier that I told you to keep open and press the next button at the bottom again, and you will be at the final outline. This will be like what we did with the 9 parts earlier, but we will take it a little further to create your book. Think about what you wrote for each part in your book, because on the 5 event lines below, you are going to write down what moments happened during each part of your book. Make sure these are major and significant moments in your book, and also be detailed and specific about what happens. The more detail you add to it, the better. Also, you don't have to use all 5 lines if you feel like you don't need to. That is fine if you have only 3 or 4 significant moments during that part of your story. So, to give you an example, in my story, at the beginning, I had Jackson and Isabella talking as they arrived at school. One of the bullies hits them with a soda can, and the bully tells him, "What are you going to do about it?" After that, he and Isabella go to class, and the bully walks in late with a trading card. The last point I have is Isabella and Jackson talking about the trading card, how he might have gotten it from his dad, the vice principal, and Jackson's idea to steal it. Now it is your turn. Go to the final outline link, go to the worksheet, and do the final outline for your plot. Once you are done, we will move on and create your chapters. Finally, we are going to create your book chapters, and we are going to do it using the final outline that you just made. I told you to write down the major and significant moments that happen in each part of the 9 part outline, because those moments will be your chapters. You can combine moments to make fewer chapters, but use those moments to determine the number of chapters you will do. Once you know the number of chapters you will write, then you can start making your chapters. And to do it, you need to think about what happens in the beginning, middle, and end of it, along with the climax of the chapter, which I call the mini climax. This is one chapter where I made it begin with Jackson running after he stole the card. In the middle, Jackson is cornered near the back of the school, where bullies are coming after him but are slow, and there are also school officers rushing near him. The mini climax is Jackson quickly crawling up the fence, hopping over it, and getting into the back of a truck driving away at a stoplight. The ending has the officers getting angry and swearing as the bullies swear too, but are almost written up by the officers for it as Jackson rides away. That is all you have to do for each chapter, and to help you with this, I made one final worksheet on the second to last link below, where it says Chapter Worksheet. There are 45 spots, but you don't have to use all of them. Only use the spots for the chapters you have. Then, once you are done, you can download it, and then you have your chapters. When you finish that, I have one last thing for you. You finished making everything you needed to write your book. You developed your idea, created the characters and the setting, crafted your plot conflicts and theme, and then made your outline and chapters. You should be proud of yourself because you have made it further than most people by doing this. But there is still a lot of work to do. You still need to write the book itself. You need to edit it and format it perfectly. You will need to do many things after writing, like make the front and back matter and get a great book cover. Along with that, you need to choose between traditional publishing and self publishing and going through all of the ups and downs of that. And on top of all that is your book's marketing. It can seem daunting because it is, but this is where I come in. I wrote a book called The Way of Amazing and made mistakes and errors that cost me. I am here to help guide you through the hard journey of writing your book and avoiding the mistakes that I made to help you become an author. So if you enjoyed this video, please go to the last link below and join BeginnerToAuthor.com. There, I will have many more lessons like the ones you just did, and there will be many more things to come. So if this video and all the steps, worksheets, and links have helped you in any way, please consider joining because there's so much more like this inside, and it is a hard journey. No one said that being a writer or writing a book is easy, but you don't have to go through it alone. So please consider joining. But aside from that, thank you for watching, and I will see you again soon.